Hi, I'm Joe Tolles. Growing up in the foster care system, working within it, and single-handedly raising 8 teens adopted from the foster care system has given me a unique view into that world. My reputation for working to keep children connected, healthy, and happy with families who love them is important to me. Who I am today is a far cry from what my circumstances might have dictated. To start, I had to navigate my own childhood hurdles to become the athlete, father, and therapist I am today. Together with child advocate specialist Renee Damon and our guest, I will highlight the issues that impacted me on my journey, issues that are most likely impacting children and families today. Join us as we examine my first steps out of the starting blocks and into the race. Welcome to Out of the Starting Blocks and Into the Race. I'm Joe Tolles, and I'm here with my co-host, Renee Damon. And Renee, how have you been?
Well, there's been a lot going on. I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Um, I think that I've been feeling a little frustrated and a little overwhelmed at times. Um, we had such a great time in Orlando doing our speaking on identity formation at the conference, and life happens and things go on, and this time of year is kind of a tough time of year for me. I'm kind of navigating some of those emotions that I've been navigating, it seems like, for the past 5 years, but they always kind of surface during this time of the year.
Yeah, I,
Um,
I hear you. We've sort of set out to create this identity for ourselves by being the speaker, and we did have I thought it was a fantastic uh, presentation at the conference in Florida last month, and things. But we both had rough years, so it didn't escape me that as we try to create this identity for ourselves to be these like speakers, and we're going to go out and sort of save the world through the spoken word, that life happens around us. And so that's been sort of a I don't know, it's like a barrier. I mean, but it's very parallel to you know everything
and
that
I was just going
happens.
to say that. I was
Yeah,
just going to say it's very parallel to what we are wanting to educate people on and speak about, and that's what I've really found is that going through this and really when we meet and we talk about what we want to speak with educators or anybody that we can to reach out to talk to them about identity formation, that we too are also going through that, and it really made me step back and kind of take a look at the last 5 years of my life and how identity formation has been so pivotal, and how I've shifted and how I've often had to step back and go, who am I now? And I know that I've shared with you, Joe, and people in my close circle, but not on the podcast, that in the last 5 years, I lost my whole family. I lost
yeah,
all four of my brothers, a significant other, and through each one of those passing of my brothers, I kind of went through another shift, like, oh, who am I now when my family unit is doesn't have this person in it? And then it shifts again. And the final brother, the last brother that passed away, was my best friend and was just everything to me. And when he passed away, I really struggled with my identity. Like I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. And when you lose your whole family, and how that was also parallel to the kiddos that we talk about in foster care and their identity formation and the transitions that they go through of losing family and being taken out of biological homes and then going into a foster home and then going from another foster home. And each time that happens, you pause and you take a shift and you kind of sit back and say, who am I? What am I now?
yeah.
Um,
I think that um, we say that we take a pause, right? But I don't think that we really do. And so I know that, you've shared with me, your losses as they were coming up. And I think we need to take a pause because we, we haven't processed really well all of the stuff that's happened to us that's sort of getting away of our goal, which is artificial, of course, but our goal to become these speakers. And I think it's important for us to maybe process this out. And with that said, I was wondering what have you found helpful in sort of or not, right? What have you found that's helpful or is it all difficult? How do you feel about sort of your personal journey towards, figuring out who you are in the world today?
Well, that's a big question, Joe.
Yes.
How do I feel? It's like it's a journey and it can really suck sometimes.
Yeah.
Stepping back and trying to figure that out. It's hard. And there's times that I shut down. And there's times that I don't want to focus on um me creating and putting out there into the universe that the identity that I want to hold or carry is to speak and to teach and to also learn because I just have such a passion for that and a passion for what we want to do. But it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And there's days that are really great. And again, with the holidays, I think coming up, I kind of get whacked with ouch. Because each time a brother passed, it seemed like we changed our traditional, okay, well, we're going to do this now for Thanksgiving, or we're going to do this now for Christmas. And then the passing of each brother, that changed and shifted. And so it's been hard. And I think one of the things that helps so much is this. And when I have conversations with you or people that are close to me, and I meet with my own therapist to continue my journey and I always say, what, 62 years old, I don't want to be in therapy, but this is like things shift and things, and I need that support and I need that place where it's someone isn't emotionally attached to what I'm going through
Hmm.
because that can also harm me at times
Right.
and not be helpful. And I'm grateful for the people that I have in my life and I continue to have that support me. But I need someone that doesn't have that emotional attachment to all of that stuff and can help me to move forward and get clarity and stay grounded and stay focused on what I want to do moving forward.
I
That
find I find that what you just said is so important because I get people who become angry at me when I want to sort of isolate. And I, you know, I, many times it feels like, don't they know anybody? I feel like, don't you know anybody else that does this? They make me feel so different. And how do you how do you deal with the fact that in their willingness to help or to comfort, um, their presence sometimes isn't?
which can be difficult. And I've had those conversations with people in my life, and the best explanation that I can give them because they push back on you can't isolate, you can't do that. You've got to be around people. You have to talk about all this. And it's not so much of it as it is an isolation for me as it just is taking that time to feel what I need to feel and to process what I need to process as well. And I have that conversation and I say, you know what? I'm sorry that you don't understand this, but I need to take this space right now. And if I feel like I'm gone past that part of isolation, I am going to be the first one that's going to reach out and go, I need
Right.
help. I need support. Because through all of my years of doing all of this, I know that piece. And I find a lot of peace in that taking time for myself and isolating and writing in my journal and listening to music and doing all of those kind of self-care things for me that I need to do to continue to move forward and look at what's in front of me and look what's forward and to keep putting it out there that this is what I want to do and this is who I want to be. But it's definitely a ride.
Yeah,
It's
it's
definitely
you said there's so many reactions I have to what you've said and I'm noting that it doesn't really matter who you are or where you are, because I think this is the process that kids in care go through all the time. And one of the things that popped into my head while you were talking about is, well, people really don't believe in the concept of self-care, right? So when somebody takes the time to step away and do that, that ripple causes maybe agitation, sadness, whatever it is that other people feel when they are rendered powerless to help, right? So just think about kids in care, for instance. Just, I mean, that's our thing. You know, we want you. We've given them everything. We've given them all the toys they want. They have a bed. They have all of this. This should make them happy, right? And you talked a little bit about um, the disruption of traditions, like
yeah.
your traditions, your your mode of interacting and reacting to your family and being part of that family unit has been disrupted, unfortunately, many times over the past few years for you. Um, and so, how do you? This is not a question to you, but I'm just thinking for the general public. How do you respect that and honor that um, without, and sometimes, especially with kids in care, causing more harm? Um,
Yeah, and that is a good question. And I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
well, it's a lot to think about.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
um, we can't just, you know, and of course, I've got the testosterone, so I'm just gonna, run through it, and no, nothing's gonna stop me. This is my goal. I'm gonna stay focused, and
yeah.
I can't do that. I don't know that I ever could. I believed when I was younger that I could do that. So it was maybe easier to suppress or ignore the things that were impacting me. I find as I get older, I
It's
can't.
not so easy. No, it's not.
No.
And I was one of those that because of my life and the way that I grew up and just my environment, I ran a lot. I was that fight or flight kid. There was a lot of different things that I went through as a child growing up, and I did run a lot. And again, going through life and experiences and processing, and I'm not wired to run anymore. Like I'm
Mm,
not wired to run away from it. My body, my mind, my thoughts, my soul say, you know what, this is something that you got to look at and push through and cry or smile and do whatever you need to do. But I'm not wired as such to run from it. And that other piece of, you know, people thinking, oh my gosh, you're going to take some time away. It's especially in the field that we're in, because you and I have
right,
been in this field of mental health and counseling and kiddos and trauma. And there's this expectation on my circle of people too that they count on me to
right,
be there for them and to be that support for them.
right.
And I've had to learn how to say, I can't show up for you right now because I need to show up for me right now. And that really rocks people's world. Um, it really does.
I
And
totally understand. I get angry because, and it's short. and it's momentary, but I get like people expect me because that is what I've put out to them, that I am strong, I am reliable, I am committed, and so I'll always be there. And the moments, because I call them moments only because they are not lengthy, that I
Right,
really need to be by myself. And there's, and now this is, I'm going to say this, but it's not really what I mean. There, I feel it at that time as a lack of respect for my space and my process. Um, and it's not a lack of respect, of course. It's because, well, no, you can't fall down. You're Joe, right? What? So
yeah,
so it's almost, when you think about that, it's like their thought about my identity impacts their identity,
absolutely.
right? So if I
Yeah,
am not that person, then who are they,
right.
right? So and I understand that with my kids, right? But come on, adults. It's like give me a break for a second, because I really do, you know, I do move away, and I don't want anybody around typically when I want to recharge, is what I try to frame it as. But I was laughing to myself when you said that we got to this part in our lives where we I think you said that we have to process this stuff a different way, as opposed to saying, which I think I'm going to speak for you and myself at this point, we don't have the ability to say we're just tired.
Right.
like like I have an issue with admitting that I might be this way because I'm getting old as dirt, right? And it's like that's it's a hard thing for me to um qualify my age, and because I'm struggling with getting, I'll quote Cher, getting old sucks. And I
And that's a whole other level, honestly. And
yes,
it reflects on exactly what we talk about with identity formation because you go through that shift too. I mean, so many things kind of surfaced when all my brothers passed because then it really kicked into me like, oh my gosh, I'm getting older too, and I'm it now. I'm next. Like, and to do that and switch through that and figure out really who am I was just mind blowing to me at times. It really was, and
right,
almost paralyzing at times. And I had to recognize that as well. And that's why I think it's been so, especially this past year, that we've really been putting this out there. We really want this to be our identity and be those speakers, is that us going through all of that and having these conversations really hits and makes you reflect it back on you as well. Because
right,
if I'm teaching and speaking and talking about this, I better be damn straight that I can be able to look inward and look at myself and say, wow, you know what, even at this age I'm shifting and my identity has changed and my identity has changed, and it makes it so much more relatable and real when we're speaking of that experience of ourselves
right,
and trying to teach that and what that looks like for kids that are in foster care and what their journey looks like as well.
right,
So it's been, those aha moments with me, like, whoa. Like, because I think people have it in their mind that, well, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is the way it's going to be. Well, no, that's not it. We're constantly,
yes.
um, life happens and we do shift and it is impactful.
Well, and it doesn't have to be sad things, right? It can be
Oh, absolutely not.
celebratory things. We have grandchildren, we're happy, right? We have retirement, we have all of those evolutionary things that happen, that bring us peace, obviously. I mean, we've been talking mostly about loss and how loss impacts our identity. And as we get older, unfortunately, we're going to experience more loss.
right,
I've had a string of people that were on both my college team and my high school team recently pass away. And what you just said is so, oh my God, it's just, you have to think about, well, wait a minute, they're my age or even younger. Like and I haven't changed the clock in my mind. I feel I
you're right.
I still feel like I'm 18.
I know we have those conversations often that I
Right.
don't feel this age. I don't feel
Right.
it.
Um,
But you're right, there are those, and that's the other side of that too, is that there's those joyous things that happen, right? And of course, um, impact us and feel good and are wonderful and those come too. And at the same time, looking at the big picture and the big circle of it all, it's just such a beautiful process. All of it is. It really
Absolutely.
is. And I think that that's another really key thing that we want to be able to share that yes, identity formation and losses, and of course they're going to change, but new jobs and grandchildren and those joys, those also shift. But there's so many things that are components of what it all looks like, right?
Yes, I think that's such a good point. The process is fascinating, and I love being in the process. I think the thing that I struggle with, and I think we struggle with in terms of our journey here together, is that we have a clock that's ticking in. It's like like an internal clock that's like we want to do this tomorrow, or more likely for us, we want to do this yesterday. And we're I think that's just not just us, but I think we're people become impatient, and because it doesn't happen at the timeline that we want it to happen, I think sometimes that makes us feel like losers, like we haven't achieved.
We're not working hard enough. We're not putting it out there hard enough. We're not doing all of this hard, right?
Right,
Yeah,
which is unfair, right? It's a, we have to we not only do we have to learn to have grace for others, but we have to have grace for ourselves. Yeah, wow. Well, it's a, we I mean I think that, and that's, I think, for us what we've been struggling with. It's not just um you know one of us having things. We'll talk about me in the next podcast, but I think that I think this is a good process for us to not only talk about it amongst ourselves, because this exercise here, I think, has been much more productive than the conversations that we've had off mic, because
right.
we're forced now to really think about it while we're
We
sitting
are.
here.
I
Like,
know. Thanks,
like
Jeff.
no, but
What a great idea.
no, but I think it's a good process, and so um, because we've never talked about grace. We've talked about excuses. We've like, and we both understand, oh, this is going on, oh, okay, this is going on, okay, but we've never really stopped to think of like, why can't this happen for us tomorrow? Even though that's, I think, a underlying, like, burning question for us. It's like, why is this not? We have a beautiful idea. This is going to be fantastic. Everybody's should hear us and want to hear us, and yet, as life happens, we're not processing both parts of that.
Right. I agree. I
So,
agree.
I think
And I don't think we have ever mentioned that word grace.
not it, never.
Mm-mm.
We've been we've been we've offered grace to one another,
We have,
but
absolutely.
we've never talked about how that's making us feel in the journey,
Right.
the shared journey.
Right. And again, it goes back to I've always been looked at and described as the person that's strong, the person that gets through this, the person that does this, and identified as something. And I always used to just think, yes, I am strong, and yes, I'm going to keep going, and yes, this is what I have to do, and this is who I am. And sometimes that can be very, very tiring. Like sometimes I just can't be the strong person today.
Absolutely.
Um, and so, and again, that goes back to how that reflects on your relationship with other people and just, again, all the different components that come into play of trying to make things happen and look at where we're at in the process. And you're right, we wanted this to happen yesterday, and we know that the mission behind all of it is such that this is something we know is going to make a difference. So yeah, it's definitely, and I use that word more so with myself, and I have to remind myself, give yourself some grace. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, because when we don't, our reaction to things that we typically can handle becomes less efficient.
It does. It
Um,
absolutely does.
we get in the way of ourselves.
Yeah.
So, well, you have been listening to Out of the Starting Blocks and Into the Race with Joe Tolles and Renee Damon. We are happy to have you join us in our ever evolving identity journey as we talk about the way that you might enhance your journey to identity. We will be back as soon as possible. I think we're going to try and continue to have these on a regular basis now, even though life might throw us some softballs. But just remember that the baggage that we carry throughout our lives becomes a lot lighter when we remember to make room for help.